anybody like to say invocation for tonight? Jim Littlefield, would you like to say a prayer for tonight? Or I can? Would
You
like-
normally do that.
I'll do.
I will, I mean.
You want to? Go ahead.
You got the floor.
You got the floor.
Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the day, for all the blessings of life. May we always understand that everything comes from you. May you be with this group tonight as they attempt to make some semblance of a meeting that might benefit the community and this city in particular. So watch over them as they continue their work. Give them guidance as only you can give, and hopefully they can understand. Forgive us where we fail you. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jim. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I see you out there. I'd like to recognize the guests here tonight. Thanks for coming out and being a part of the Crittenden City Council. At this time, I'd like for the council members to take a look at the agenda and add or delete as you may.
I brought in a copy of the letter that Pete was sending, that we were approving to be sent to the Attorney General's office, and also my address to the City Council and the community at the September 3rd meeting, and I'd like to add those to the official minutes, please.
You want to add the letter?
Both letters. Yeah, I gave you copies of them.
In the minutes?
Attach them to the minutes and then become part of the official minutes, please.
I would like to add a budget amendment for Oakwood Drive and also some other things listed for the budget to be amended. We'll go over those when we get to that.
I'm sorry, Kay, I got ahead of myself. That was for the presentation of the minutes, but for the agenda, you're talking about the agenda?
The agenda.
Okay, if we could just add discussion regarding the council's request to send that second letter to the Attorney General.
Anyone else?
Under new business, I'd like to add city events and entertainment.
Could you repeat that one more time?
City events?
City events.
City events.
There's one thing I'd like to add too, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I just found out that the recycling container was pulled
Yes.
because people, well, I guess people put trash in there and they're not able to recycle it because there's so much trash going in there. And they have to take it to a landfill. So if we could bring that in there for discussion.
Nothing else. I'd like for council to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion.
I'll second. So Paula made a motion. Jennifer made a motion, I seconded. Okay. Roll call. Danny?
For the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Paula? Here. Jennifer? Yeah.
Yes.
Absent tonight is Erling Stumbo, council member, and also Joe Dusing, council member. At this time, I'd like council to take a look at the minutes of the regular meeting from September 3rd, 2019, and the special meeting from September 24th, 2019. They are ready for approval at this time, subject to any deletions, additions, or corrections.
Mayor, on the September 3rd meeting, we've got councilperson Paul Lowry as absent.
Yes.
And then on the first line, it says motion by councilperson Paul Lowry.
Okay, that was the error.
Correct that, thank you.
And Mayor, on page 1 of that same September 3rd, the second paragraph down, it had that I voted no because I wasn't here for the meeting. I didn't vote, so I don't know the proper wording that I should have used. I didn't vote no, I just didn't want to vote because I wasn't here about what the two meetings were about. And I didn't want to approve something if I wasn't able to attend and know what was spoken about.
You abstain.
You abstained, yes.
So should that be changed to subs?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you.
One last thing is on both meetings. Very last page, very last line, says motion carried, all yes. I think we need to change the way we do things on the adjournment. We take 2 votes and we pretty much close out the meeting. That's not really an all yes. So we poll to, when we vote on everything else, going by this, it looks like we would have been polled that on that vote, which we don't do. I don't know if
Let
we
me
should
get-
change
let me
it
get
to a
back.
full poll.
Let me get back with you.
Okay.
Let me look that up and see and see if it's even, if we have to do that.
Well, we're taking a roll call vote for all of our votes, so I would think that we would call for a roll
For
call vote as
adjournment?
well. Yeah.
Well, it's not a no. Let me look it up and see what we have.
I'll make a motion that we accept those minutes with the suggestions made, including my suggestion to add these 2 letters to the official record of the minutes.
Need a second?
I'll second.
All right, I got a question on page 3 of the September 3rd. The second paragraph, it said that I didn't want to be on ABC job if I couldn't be on council. I don't know if I spoke clearly enough talking about, yeah, I would still do it without pay. I think that's what the issue is, that there's a pay thing. Because like Dry Ridge and Williamstown, the mayors do it, and that's already included into the salary that they are getting. They're not getting added. So I don't know if I clarified myself good enough on that or not. And when do you think we'd be able to find out the answers about the being able to do that?
There is someone on the line for code enforcement, and I am talking to them about if they can pick that up. Now, if that's a sworn position, I don't know if they could be sworn in for the ABC as well. I think that was the discussion that evening with the mayor doing the position. Can someone be sworn in twice? There is a KRS on that, so we will look into that.
How, gosh, I hate to beat a dead horse, Mayor. I really do. Then how can Dry Ridge and Williamstown get by having their mayors do it?
Only they can answer that.
I guess because it was, I don't know. Okay, we'll find out one day. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I had a motion by Jennifer, seconded by Todd. Danny? To
Yes.
approve the minutes.
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Paula? Yes. Jennifer?
Yes.
Arlene is absent and Joe is absent.
This time we have the treasurer's report for the month of September 2019 is ready for approval this time, subject to any corrections.
I would like to say, Megan, that I really appreciate the effort that you put into this. It's exactly what I asked for.
Okay.
It's very helpful to see what we've spent, where we stay in for the rest of the fiscal year.
Okay.
The only question I have was on the Fork Bank expenditures. It really doesn't show, I realize those are split out, but I just wondered how we are going to ascertain which line item they go under.
since we have the copies of the bills, it's something that we can maybe mark down. Because I give you all the credit card statements for Fort Bank.
Right. So you want to just write it on there next time,
I
where
can-
you plan to put it?
Yes.
That'd be great. Appreciate that. I know that was a little extra work.
Can I get that for you? Treasurer's report as of September 3rd, for October the 1st, 2019. The totals are as of 9/27. General fund is $314,028.84. Municipal road aid is $36,766.15. Certificates of deposit is $2,898,316.05. The checks are before you all if you have any questions.
Is there any employee overtime paid this, on this financial report?
No.
No.
Banking on page 2, 9/20. JD was reimbursed for, or 9/18 and 9/20, there was a reimbursement for something. One was gas for $99.50. Does he not use the city credit card when
He
he
did,
gets?
he did try to use the city credit card, but where they had shuffled the money around for the computers, there wasn't enough on there because they had to take his down to almost nothing to be able to purchase the laptops. So those were paid off and he's able to use a credit card now.
And you may see a few of those, Danny, on there because he had to pay for lunch for the inmates as well. So it might be on the next billing period. But that card, they didn't in time transfer that money back to that card that we used for the computers.
Thank you.
There's nothing else.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Danny?
Can we still question things?
Yes.
On the dispute of the one credit card for the 105, what is that for?
It was a purchase that, where we had to get Microsoft's last year, and they automatically charged the credit card without permission, so I'm disputing it,
Good for you.
because I didn't give them permission.
Okay, I approve.
Todd?
Yeah.
Paula? Yes. Jennifer?
Yes.
Arlene is absent, and Joe is absent.
At this time, we have the second reading of ordinance 278-2019. That's the short-term Airbnb rental.
Did we get a clean copy of that? It was pretty, put it up last time.
I can print you a clean copy. I made all the changes that you all suggested.
Yeah, with the changes.
Yes.
And there are some issues that you all may want to make some policy decisions on as far as some density issues and some other things. I can point out a few that I know that have been brought to my attention so you guys can discuss and decide how you all want to act. Would you like to do that now, or you want to talk amongst yourselves, or?
I'd rather you tell us what,
Okay.
something we need to worry about.
The first issue is the density, the amount of people in the location, in the various unit.
Can you tell us what number? what that
Sure,
is?
it's section 4, the duties of the host, paragraph C.
Okay.
And the way it reads is at no time shall more persons reside in a short-term rental than 2 times the number of bedrooms plus 4. One of the suggestions that I would have is a a legal bedroom, right? There's a lot of people who use
Right,
bedrooms like in basements or
yeah,
closets, and we want to make sure that it meets the code of what a legal bedroom is, having exit, means of egress, et cetera. That's important, I think, for distinction to someone who otherwise identify a closet as a bedroom. And I think that I read this as 2 times the number of bedrooms plus 4. So let's do a hypothetical. If you have 4 bedrooms, it's 8 plus 12. So 8 would give you 12 people in a 4-bedroom house, according to the way that I read this. So you all just have to decide if that's, I mean, some people have large families, there's no doubt about it. You just have to decide what you all feel comfortable with.
well, how should we word it then? Give us some guidance.
Yeah, I mean, those are policies.
Would you say times 2?
Well, it says, a short-term rental, then 2 times the number of bedrooms plus 4.
So if there were 4 bedrooms, then there 2 times would be 8 people, plus 4 more people, that would be 12 people that would be allowed at a house. If it's a 4-bedroom house,
That's a lot of people.
but it's a 4-bedroom house.
But you all need to decide what density requirements you want on it.
That's too many.
So that's a big question that we need to do some research on then, correct?
Well, one of the suggestions that when I first looked at it, when Pete sent it over, was you could define, there's a big difference between 12 adults and 12 people. So children, of course, you can fit a whole lot of kids.
Right.
But I mean, if you have 12 adults, that's a heck of a party. Just something to consider, whatever you all feel. There are definitely families that have 12 kids, so you preclude them from being there.
Or grandma, papa, aunts and
Or
uncles.
that too, yeah. It's really just a decision amongst yourselves of what you all feel comfortable doing. You can always amend it if it gets to be a problem and you realize that it's being abused, but there is definitely a number there that they put in.
Well, this is a maximum number in the ordinance, so the property owner might limit even more,
No doubt.
so.
So that's one suggestion. The other one would be on paragraph F, which will probably be on the next page if you're, and that really talks about the sufficient parking available for the host and guests, and how we've talked a little bit about nuisance and parking on grass and just parking in different parts of a piece of property, is how many spots you want to allocate for the family, because otherwise they'll be on public parking. So, which is no problem, it's just you all have to take a position on how you all want to handle that. Because if you have 12 adults and they all drive, you can have 12 cars. So, unlikely, but that you've got restrictions on parking. So that's something you probably should think about as well. Paragraph H is the maximum stay for any guest is
Explain that to me.
10 days in a 30-day period. So anybody that wants to stay for a month or is up for a job or something along those lines, or doing temporary work for 6 months, technically speaking, they wouldn't qualify under the short term. So you could run into a problem with concerns about how you're leasing units. 10 days in a 30-day period, you just got to figure out if that number works for you all. Section M talks about hosting of parties defined as more guests than 2 times the number of occupants shall not be permitted at the STRP, which is of course the short-term rental. So it's really designed to keep college kids, or whoever for that matter, having a party. So you got to figure out what number you all feel comfortable with is that as well. The enforcement, section 6.0, strict liability will apply to any property owner found to be in violation of this or any other applicable ordinance. I'm not really sure what that means, but I think what it means is if we have a hearing and determine that you are, the real problem I've got is there's no due process in this. So if a person said, if someone, whether it be the mayor or the council or the code enforcement says, you've done this, there's no real remedy for a person to say, no, I haven't. I haven't violated it, so there's no real due process.
We discussed that at special meeting, was it special meeting? Yeah, special meeting. About having a appeal board.
The logical solution would be to put this underneath the code enforcement board, but the problem with the code enforcement board is that it does take time to ramp up, and from a matter of efficiency, it may turn into a problem. But you really need to figure out how you're going to enforce it, right? Like anything, and that's an important thing. Can you revoke a license? If you can revoke a license, then the person can't go back on Airbnb or Airbnb and advertise.
That's what we were concerned about.
That's the key, right? Because they may say, well, I'm gonna appeal it, I'll sue you, and they're gonna rent it out for another 2 years while they're waiting for the appeal process. And those are issues that you need to decide.
I don't know how often the code enforcement board meets, so.
They've never yet.
Okay, so it would probably need to fall back on the council in some way after, of course, that's what we talked about last time, just to have some kind of appeal process. Because we could call a special meeting pretty quickly. But it sounds like we're probably gonna need to look at this and bring it back to another meeting. We're probably not gonna be able to.
Well, these are, as far as, I mean, if you all decided tonight you wanted to hash this out, you certainly could. I don't think that these are material enough that would prohibit you from having a second reading. Meaning that the tone of this entire ordinance is just to regulate short-term rentals. We're gonna accomplish that. The issue is what you agree is appropriate in this community. And every community is different. Manhattan certainly would be different than here. You just have to really put your eyes on it, because once you open it up, people are gonna start looking at this, follow the ordinance, and start advertising appropriately. So if you wanna do it tonight, I'm happy to hash it out with you. If you guys wanna bring it back at the next one and finalize it, just whatever you
Can I
decide.
recommend that we go ahead? These people are waiting on this ordinance to be passed.
I don't have any problem with, I don't like to rush. Honestly, just don't like to rush. I would rather hold it to our caucus meeting in a couple of weeks. I mean, it's not holding people up. From what I understand, people are already renting their properties out. They just don't have a license yet. So I don't think we're holding anybody up. We'll wait a couple of weeks and make sure that we're comfortable with the wording.
Well, we're sitting here, let's go ahead and,
You want to be here all night?
we're gonna be here all night anyway.
I've got.
See that, Alex?
Well, I mean, you guys, what do y'all think? That's mine and Paul's comment, so whatever you all think, I'll stay.
Alex, on letter M, reading this, is it worded, like you said, improperly? The hosting of parties defined as more guests than 2 times the number of occupants shall be permitted. So is this saying that we can rent these out for parties?
I think
If your max number, it all depends on the number of bedrooms, right?
The wording is what he's talking about.
The wording, I'm talking about the wording, it said it shall be
Said
permitted.
not.
It says shall not. The one I have says shall not.
Mine says shall
we
be.
don't have an updated copy, so we're not sure what
Okay.
it says. That's another reason why I thought we ought to hold off until we get
Okay.
the updated copy. We don't know what we're voting on.
Okay.
Well, Megan, could you go make copies for us so everybody's got the same thing?
Let's get this together here. What is it that we need changed tonight? How many items that we need changed tonight? Let's discuss each item.
Well, probably the most important item, at least at this point, would be your density. Whatever you all think is appropriate from a density perspective. How many people you want in a unit? That'd be the first one.
I personally think 10 people in a unit is plenty in a 4-bedroom.
What letter again is that?
See,
Page 2. Set duties of host. So you're saying change the 4 to +2?
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one? Alex?
You guys want to reach a consensus on that one first, or do you want to move to the next one?
Okay, everybody okay with 10 people in there? Just
Well, it
10?
depends on the number of bedrooms.
Right.
Number of bedrooms plus 2.
It's really the multiplier is probably what you were most concerned about. So it's 2 per bedroom, which would make logical sense. Any more than 2 is probably a party. And then you would need to decide on how many more in addition to.
What do you think, Danny?
I thought we just said it. You did,
10, right?
you have 2 times the number of bedrooms, so if you have 4 bedrooms, that's 8.
Right,
And
plus
then you
2.
said +2 instead
Yeah,
of +4.
plus 2.
But it all depends on the number of bedrooms. You
Right.
can't come down with a number, it all depends on the number of bedrooms. But as long as we are 2 per bedroom, and then +2 at the end.
Okay,
And change the language to legal bedrooms that meet the appropriate zone or building code.
Legal bedrooms.
So +2,
uh-huh.
I'd like to see that amended. Okay. Is there a consensus on that?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Check. Parking spots, which would be the next paragraph, F.
Well, could we do 4 cars? Because you got 2 adults, really, mostly. You think that's too many?
But what if you don't have parking for 4 cars?
Right. Well, you got minivans.
Are we gonna allow off-street, on-street parking? If it's legally to park there on the street? Are you gonna allow on-street parking?
Well, you can't prohibit that.
Correct.
Do we actually have an ordinance that says we cannot park on the grass? Do we need to even put that in there?
That's in our nuisance. That's what we're working on, the nuisance ordinance, actually.
Okay. Could we just say that it has to apply to our ordinance, our nuisance ordinance, and just take that wording out?
Sure.
I mean,
Todd had some suggestions on that, and I made some comments based upon Joe, and I kind of feel bad because Joe's not here, but
yeah.
Joe had 3 or 4 concerns, and I think I've addressed them. Todd, you had a couple about parking on grass and kind of how long, what the appropriate time frame is, where in the grass, backyard, front yard, so we can maybe talk about that whenever you're ready. But I've got some suggestions for it. But Jennifer, to your point, we could probably clean up a lot of this language, but make it a little bit easier. Just referring and citing it back to our nuisance code
Yeah.
will solve that problem. So really the issue then becomes, what do you do about the parking per se?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're moving ahead here, but it's along the same lines of that. I had a citizen ask me about the burning, and is that even in ordinance? So I'm not sure. Are we duplicating this or changing it from what our city ordinance is going to be about burning? So we might ought to just make that, and that's under number P, make that according to the nuisance ordinance as well. And I'm not even sure what our current ordinance says about fires, so.
No, I don't have any code ordinances about that. I don't know. I don't have
Right.
ordinances. Sorry about that.
But it's just along the same lines, rather than put something specific here, just reference it back to our city ordinance.
If you leave there shall be sufficient parking available for the host and guests. And if you leave it and you just drop a period at the end of it, then that'll be an issue that somebody would have to make a determination if it becomes inappropriate. So neighbors are complaining, for example, they can come in and in theory you could code enforce that if you just drop it. So you don't really put any numbers on how many cars are there. Because some places may not have parking for it. They may, but that's up to you guys.
I agree with that.
Just allow the code enforcement or whoever to do it on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
Okay. The next issue is the maximum stay for any guest.
I like the 10-day. I mean, that way they can't cause too much trouble if they're in and out.
Well, why should we restrict them if somebody wants to stay more than 10 days?
Well,
If I'm up here on a construction job and I want to rent out this house for 6 months.
Instead of signing a year contract
Yeah.
or a year lease.
well, that's not an Airbnb.
But what violation would it be? Why would we restrict somebody from doing that?
Look under page 1, Danny, under transient.
Jennifer hit the nail on the head, that your definition would need to be amended. Short-term rental permit, this is just regulating when you have these very short-term stays. So you all have to decide what the right amount of time is on what's a short-term stay in the city of Crittenden.
10 days.
What if we worded for the Airbnb to notify us if someone is gonna be there longer than that extended amount of time that's here on a legitimate reason, such as construction?
I just don't want to restrict the possibility of
Property owner.
basically their small business from,
It's not
Succeed.
restricting them, it's just notifying.
no, I'm not on your point, on the 10-day thing. If I get rented out for 6 months straight, that would be a bonus compared to an Airbnb of 10 days here, it might be 10 days before I rent it again.
But that's not an Airbnb. An Airbnb is short-term rental for vacationers.
But rented is,
No, a rental that would be a complete rental agreement, 6 months to a year. We don't want to get nose into that. What I'm saying is, this is an Airbnb. This is short-term rental for vacation.
I agree.
We got a lot of comments in the audience. I think we need to hear people out.
Mayor, reference to the question that you have at the present, there is something that you need to be aware of that is gaining a lot of momentum. And that is people who are hospitalized, family members coming in. Even St. Elizabeth is telling them about the Airbnbs as temporary housing instead of the local motels and hotels which are being packed. So you're getting folks that are coming in while mom, dad, grandma are being taken care of and renting these Airbnbs. So this question would fall. Now, the solution that some people have done is that they can sign for 10 days or whatever you set. At the end of that 10-day period, they have to completely redo all paperwork again. And I guess that would fall under your enforcement as far as whether it's allowed or not.
I like that.
Do we have a long-term regulation set up?
No, we don't have anything.
Anyone's got a right, I can rent my house out for 6 months of the year. I don't need the city's approval, and that is a business, that would be between me and who did it. Now, this is a totally different subject here.
Short term.
And it's short term. So as far as a long-term rental, if somebody wants to, they can rent out their home or lease it for that period of time.
You hit the nail on the head as well. I mean, really, short-term leasing is for purposes of regulating who's in your community. The downside, and Sheriff, I'm sure you could comment on this, is, I mean, there could be some really bad dudes coming into a community, or women for that matter, you just wouldn't know, that may or may not do the appropriate things that they need to do to let you know they're here.
And that's what I was gonna comment, to your point. By putting